Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Football. Today, we are presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Heath, Dave, Heath, you a little frustrated today?
No, I'm in the best of spirits. Much better mood than last time you saw me. Really excited to talk about week 4. Can you believe it's week 4 already?
I can't. In fact, I emailed you on Monday giving you players that we should and should not rank for week 3.
We were just talking before the show about how unpredictable the season has been and how it's been a little frustrating. But you know what? That doesn't mean, guys, that we can't play Fantasy Feud with the most added list unless you guys have prior knowledge.
No knowledge at all. Haven't even looked.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm terrible at this game also. I don't know if I've ever gotten a correct answer on this game.
Top 5 answers are on the board. Most added players.
Heath.
Jauan
Jennings.
He's the number 1 answer. All right. Okay, pass or play?
I'm going to pass.
Okay, Dave, you're up.
You sure Dave didn't say his name first? You want to let him
go? I would have passed too. Cole Kmet makes sense as being somebody
number 3.
Hey, Cole Kmet is number 3. I don't think we're going to see a running back on this list. I don't remember Mooney's roster percentage, but I'll say Mooney. What the hell?
And
sorry, that was a different soundbite.
That sounded like Dan.
It was Dan.
I'm about to get the X then. Go ahead.
The things I do with my hands.
This is the conversation that you have to have if you're into handcuffs.
The old soundbite. But okay, 1 strike.
I think you should just play that instead of the and it'll be much more fun. Did Darnold make the top 5?
Yep. No, that was my only good guess.
So I've got 2 wrong.
Yeah,
Darnold's DST. What was the DST that we were like? The Chiefs DST. See, I suck at this game too, Heath.
Okay, Heath. 2 of the answers are off the board. Jauan Jennings and Cole Kmet. Give me 1 more player in the top 5 most added.
I have no idea. Vikings DST.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's what I was thinking of.
They were 5th.
That's the Chiefs.
Dolphins were 2nd, and Dave, you talked yourself out of the running back. Roshan Johnson is.
Oh, of course. He was only like 9% rostered.
People are adding the Dolphins defense over the Titans defense.
So
I get it.
Dolphins are up to 21%, and Titans, that's a mistake. Titans are
an enormous mistake.
Up only 5%. Titans are 15% rostered. All right, so let's do some buy low and sell high. Who wants to start? Dave, you know what? I want to start with this. You said yesterday on CBS Sports Network, and I'm going to second it. I'm going to double down. I'm buying low on.
I am too.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it's the second week in a row that I've got him on my buy low list, and it makes all the sense in the world. This is a team that's going to have to start using him more because eventually, because Rashee Rice is not going to run free 14 times a game. Every game. Like eventually defenses will say, all right, we've got to really focus on him and let Mahomes have Kelce. They will take their chances with Kelce. You'd think that they would have figured it out by now, but they haven't. And this is one of those pick your poison type things. And maybe it oscillates over the course of the season. That's what I get for trying to use a good word. Can we start the podcast over? Bottom line, I think Kelce's going to start seeing more targets, certainly get used close to the goal line. And he just seems like a screaming buy low right now. The people who drafted him, they're probably very frustrated. I don't think they're going to want to stay the course with Kelce. If they can get out of him, maybe they've got another tight end to use in place of him. Make a low-endish offer for Travis Kelce.
I would like this a lot better if the Chiefs had lost a game or 2. Like they probably should have by now. Like, I don't know why you'd force feed the old man until January.
I just don't think that it can get any worse for Travis Kelce.
Right, but you could give up someone who's helping your fantasy football team, and it could stay this. He has 69 yards for the season.
Yeah, he's just not getting the targets.
Would you give up Tony Pollard for Travis Kelce?
No.
You'd rather have Pollard than Kelce? Okay. It's fair. Amari Cooper?
No.
Najee Harris.
Sure. I said I'm not giving up a starter.
Okay. Well, Najee might be. How about Rachaad White, Heath? Are we so low on Rachaad White that we will move him for Travis Kelce? Slug for a slug.
Maybe.
All right. Then we've got a pretty decent idea of where Heath values Travis Kelce. I'll have him a little bit higher than that. I think that he can rebound and be.
I was trying to put this tweet to the care. I'm just going to keep starting him.
It's a great freeze.
Okay. Sorry. You say that again, Heath? We lost.
I don't care. I'm just going to keep starting him.
Oh.
And Kelce's definitely on that team. Andrews is on that team. Mahomes and Anthony Richardson are on that team. I was having a harder time finding running backs. Like I'm more ready to move away from the running backs that I drafted that have been bad. But I guess Rachaad White might be on that team.
White could be on that team. Right. Najee, you're ready to move on from?
I didn't draft Najee Najee was like RB30 before the season, and he's like RB30 for me now. So
okay. But for those who might have Najee on their fantasy teams,
I hope I can do better.
I would hope so too.
Okay. Jamey's here. Hey, Jamey.
Good morning.
All right. So more buy lows. More buy lows. Anyone want to go?
I got a whole list.
CeeDee Lamb.
He's on the list.
All right. Buy low on CeeDee Lamb. It's not overcomplicated. He's going to go off.
Yep. And you don't have to buy super low. If you could buy him for like early round 2 value or late round 1 value, great. I think it's gonna be fine.
All right, Dave, just give me your list. Give me your list in 10 seconds on each player.
Quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Running backs, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown. Brown's on the list now the second time in 3 weeks. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Mike Evans. Packers wide receivers, and you already know who the tight end is.
Tyreek Hill. What are we thinking there?
Not quite the same value in return as what you'd hope for as you would with Lamb. But maybe like third round value, that would be buying low on Tyreek Hill. Eventually, the Dolphins will get him the football and he will make some big plays.
My concern with Tyreek, and I wrote about this yesterday, is like what if we go 6 weeks and we don't get Tua, and then we get a good month, and then it's November, December?
Yeah, why would they bring him back?
The Dolphins are playing at Lambeau, and then they're playing in Cleveland during the fantasy championships. Like, I'm not sure I'm that excited about having him.
Would you call him a sell for what you can?
I don't know. What is that?
It like sell.
He might be on the I don't care. I'm just starting him.
Oh, he's definitely on that list. But I'm not prepared to give Tyreek Hill away. You can give him away for 5th round value, no problem. Someone in your league will take him.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
Okay. Yeah, are we starting him when Tua is not healthy?
That's kind of the point of what Heath was saying is we don't care what the situation is.
Well, I do. I mean, if he has another bad game, because this would be in like 5 games with Skylar Thompson or worse, where he has not really been good.
I mean, if you drafted Tyreek Hill and Malik Nabers and Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin, you're not starting him.
Fair. That's a very good point. But outside of those rare situations, I'd say that's going to be pretty rare. Like, I'm not going to start Jackson Smith and Jigba ahead of him every single week.
You're starting Deontay Johnson or Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
Harder to do in non-PPR, but yeah, perhaps so.
Jamey's wearing a shirt that sort of looks like my Star Trek shirt, I would say.
Not at all.
It's and also someone said,
"Oh yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Captain Kirk wearing a Nike shirt all the time on."
I didn't see the Nike logo was hidden. Someone also said that Tom Brady's football is in Jamey's background.
Deflated, yeah.
Yeah, completely deflated. All right, Heath, Jamey, Heath, you want to go buy low?
Dave gave a lot. I had Richardson, Lamb. I'm still pretty certain that Bijan Robinson's going to be a top 3 running back, and he's like RB18 again, like he was last year. So if you could buy low on him, I'd do that. And I would rather have him than a couple of my sell highs that have done much better than him at running back so far. Mm-hmm. And I think Mike Evans is going to be fine too. So I'm buying low on him.
All right, yeah. So Anthony Richardson. Are we sure? Because I felt the same way. I said the same thing yesterday, but are we sure? Because God, he's been terrible the last 2 weeks.
It should be low.
Are you buying Richardson as he can be my starting quarterback rest of season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just might not trust him this week. And I might even lay the groundwork for the trade now, but not actually make the trade happen until after week 4.
But I think
this is a tough match.
Because I know Kyler had a bad game last week, but like Anthony Richardson is actually QB 17 on the year. You might be able to trade one of these quarterbacks that we didn't draft as a starter that's been really good for him. Yeah. Kyler Murray's at QB 6 at 22.5 points per game. Nobody's giving him up for less than they drafted him for.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And no one's going to want to give. I'll give you some names. You can tell me. Would you give up? Let's go back to Rachaad White. Would you give up Rachaad White for Anthony Richardson?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be ready to do that. Calvin Ridley.
Oh, God, yeah. Richardson? Yeah. I mean, I screwed up. I mean, I should have tried to trade Ridley last week. It was so obvious.
It's true.
I think Ridley's just going to be we call him the Tyler Lockett, right? He's going to have 20-point weeks and he's going to have 4-point weeks.
I'd rather set Tyler Lockett.
The poster child of boom bust flex.
Okay, Jamey, how about you? You got some buy lows?
I mean, they said all the appropriate ones.
Okay. All right, so CeeDee Lamb, this is the time to get him. This is not, earth-shattering, statistical breakdown here. It's just obvious. Go get a guy when it's obvious that you should buy low on him. And I got a few that are not as obvious. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers coming off a game where he had only 4 targets, but that was over a 25% target share. Zay Flowers is 8th in target share. He is 27th among wide receivers, 27th in targets per route run rate, which is not terrible at 24.8%. He's run the same amount of routes as Brandon Ayuk and Garrett Wilson, so he's running routes. He's 60th in yards per route run rate. That's bad. We need to see that change. But he has 2 end zone targets, Zay Flowers. He had 3 end zone targets last year. I just think it's pretty obvious, and I'm a little surprised by this, I guess based on what I thought preseason, that he is just the focal point of the passing game. He seems to be option 1, 2, and 3 for them. So, yeah, I mean, I expect Mark Andrews to have a bigger role, and there will definitely be bad games for Zay Flowers because it's the Ravens passing game. But they seem, even after last week, I'd say they seem more willing to throw. So I would try to buy low on Zay Flowers. I think he's really good. And then this one I'm on the fence about. This has to be like a really low, selling kind of a bench player or something like that, or someone you don't really care about. But I just think there's potential for Brian Thomas. Trevor Lawrence missed him on what probably would have been like a 20-yard gain, and he overthrew it. He was wide open. It was one of the nicer plays that
was the interception.
That was the interception. And if he catches that ball, he's got like 6 catches for almost 70 yards, and he's got 3 solid games where he's been a flex in the first 3 games of his career. So we see the talent. Another guy that I feel like I was wrong about, even though I haven't really been wrong about because he hasn't done that much, but Brian Robinson Jr. is the kind of guy that if you acquire him, you might get nothing out. You might just get a flex out of it, but you might get something special out of it. Because
is he playing the Saints too?
All right, how many times? Go ahead, make the joke. I screwed up.
No, you said his name wrong. That's why.
What did I say?
You said Brian Robinson Jr.
No, Brian Thomas Jr.
Thomas Jr. But is he a buy low? Like he's been better than he was drafted to be.
He hasn't really done that much.
He's outscored Amari Cooper, and he's like tied with Garrett Wilson on the season.
And who wants him ahead of Garrett Wilson?
To put him in a category really doesn't matter. Right? Adam's point is try and trade for him.
I'd like to get him, but I would not expect to pay less for him than he was drafted for.
It leads to a larger question. I'm sorry, Heath.
I don't know if you have to pay more, but okay.
It leads to a larger question. How many of the guys that we named do you think the average fantasy manager is like ticked off about? Like I could see the average fantasy manager being totally ticked off about Kelce. You could put Mark Andrews in the same boat. There isn't a fantasy manager that's ticked off over CeeDee Lamb right now.
What?
I don't think so. To the point where they want to get him off their team. They might be unhappy with the production.
They might be 0-3.
But I bet they would expect to get first round value still for CeeDee Lamb. So we can try and trade for them. Yeah, you can try and trade for them low. But I don't, and that's the problem with Tyreek Hill as well. Like, I don't know how many people would be interested in moving on from Tyreek Hill unless they were getting incredible value.
Well, CeeDee Lamb's tougher to trade because nothing's really changed about his situation. It's just been performance. For Tyreek, at this point, you're trying to get something that's going to make your team better while selling Tyreek to a team that's probably 2-1 or 3-0 with the chance of, hey, Tua comes back, you're getting the best receiver in fantasy or one of the top 3 receivers in fantasy. That's what you're selling that person. But you have to get something significant in return to make your team better. The CeeDee Lamb manager sees the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
it's a good way to put it. The light at the end of the tunnel. Do you think a lot of fantasy managers who have Brian Thomas Jr. see the light at the end of the tunnel?
No, but I think that's where, putting him into a category really doesn't matter. Like, to say he's a buy low, to Heath's point, like, you're trying to get something of better value for him for a guy that was drafted around pick 100. That's probably not something that's going to make your team better. But to Adam's point, like, to try and trade for him is not a bad move at all, because you're looking for what the upside could be. Like Adam said, he's done this in his first 3 games. We know rookies tend to peak toward the end of the season. So you're trying to, get him for something relatively cheap while getting the best of him still at the end of the season.
This is how I would approach a guy like Brian Thomas. It's hard to make a trade just for Brian Thomas. Go to the Brian Thomas managers page and see if there's another player on that team that you really want to make a trade for, and then throw Brian Thomas into the deal in some capacity. That could be a way, because it's hard to make trades for like marginal players. It just like doesn't really happen all that much unless they're part of a bigger deal.
Well, like if you're not playing Calvin Ridley, for example, he has another big game this week against the Dolphins, and you're saying, okay, these are going to be too fluky for me. I don't want to sit on this and use Ridley. I'd rather get somebody who by the end of the season could be better than Ridley. That's a perfect trade to make.
No, I would not trade Ridley straight up for Brian Thomas. I would trade Ridley. What? Why not? Because Ridley might be better than Brian Thomas.
But if you believe in Brian, my point is, if you believe in Brian Thomas and you don't believe in Calvin Ridley, you're trying to get the player who you think is going to finish stronger.
Yeah, but I don't believe in Brian Thomas. I believe in the potential of Brian Thomas. This is what I think. I think we, as fantasy analysts, believe in Brian Thomas more than the casual fantasy player that has Brian Thomas on his roster. Because he just he had 2 catches 2 weeks ago. He had 48 yards last week or something like that. I know he caught a touchdown in week 1, but he really hasn't been that good. So I think maybe my perception about him is totally wrong, but I don't know that people are really valuing him that high.
You picked up Carson Steele off the waiver wire. Would you give up Steele for Brian Thomas?
Yeah, especially if I were 2-1 or 3-0.
Okay, they're equal on the trade chart this week.
Oh, listen. One thing we can agree on is that if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FANTASY, and you're going to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. And here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, and you sign up using the bonus code FANTASY. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FANTASY when you sign up. That's on the BetMGM app. All right, time for our first break. Sell high. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Thursday Night Football. I got some stats to throw at you. We're going to play a game that we played on CBS Sports Network yesterday. It's a brand new game, or it was yesterday anyway, and we'll be right back.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
All right, welcome back. Jamey, you want to start out with some sell highs?
I got 2. Aaron Jones would be 1. And why am I blanking on? Oh, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Okay. So go for it. Aaron Jones, probably. I'm guessing he's like a top 7 running back. Let's see.
He's been awesome. I mean, give him credit for how he's performed in this offense, which has been better than anybody expected under Sam Darnold. But you know how I feel. Older running back, coming off a season where he struggled to stay healthy. I would just bank on him at some point missing some time. So you got to get something incredible in return. But he'd be somebody I'd be shopping for sure, especially where he drafted him as RB2 or flex.
I was thinking about this. What's a better strategy? To sell high on Aaron Jones or to buy low on Ty Chandler?
I mean, Ty Chandler, you get off the waiver wire at this point.
Yeah, I'm not
if you have Aaron Jones, I'm saying.
Oh, you mean to acquire one of the 2?
Yeah. Yeah, just to make sure you have okay, so I'll just write it out with Aaron Jones, and if he does get hurt, bam, now I have his backup.
Yeah,
don't hate it one
probably you get Ty Chandler for nothing, so sure.
Exactly.
Approach.
That's the point. Take somebody off your bench, maybe even be willing to overpay a little bit with a better bench player to get Ty Chandler.
I wonder if the running back targets go down a little bit when the Vikings pass catchers get healthier. I wonder if when Jordan Addison's 100%, or even especially when TJ Hawkinson's back, if we don't see quite as many running back targets in this offense.
So we just got a comment in the chat. That's the perfect way to trade, is traded Aaron Jones for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, yeah. That's
gorgeous.
And here's a Tim McLaurin one. Trade McLaurin and Aaron Jones for Waddle and Rashad White. No, don't do that.
No.
Can't do that.
I don't think I'd trade Aaron Jones for Waddle and Rashad White right now.
Borderline evil to offer Waddle and Rashad White for McLaurin and Jones.
T. Higgins for Brian Thomas? No. I would much rather have
Higgins.
Yeah, these are just comments reading in the chat here. If you do have any trades involving these players, it could be very helpful. Do you value Terry? Do you think Terry McLaurin, Jamey, is going to be a reliable starter for fantasy managers?
No. I think he'll be, exactly what Heath was talking about with Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley. There'll be weeks where he blows up, and there'll be weeks where he just disappears. If you want to ride it out, you can. But we've seen now, a 3-game sample size of Jayden Daniels, who is only going to get better. So just take that into account with what Terry McLaurin can be. But I think if you're trying to maximize the value of your team, if McLaurin's sitting on your bench, especially after he did nothing for those first 2 games, if you could turn him into something that can help you, I don't think you're just giving him away, but turn him into something to help you, then that's the type of move that can make your team better.
Who do the Commanders have this week?
The Cardinals.
Wait a week to trade Terry McLaurin if you're going to sell high on him.
I don't know. I mean, that's always risky. I know we say that a lot, but that's always risky because the Bengals don't have a very good defense.
I suppose it depends on the offer that you get.
If he has a bad game against the Cardinals, then his trade value absolutely plummets. So he had 4 targets. When they get near the goal line, they don't throw. So he's not,
not just when they get near the goal line.
Yeah, right.
They're throwing 76 passes all season.
Right.
Would you take Brian Robinson for him right now?
Yes.
I would too.
Would you believe that the Commanders have thrown 76 passes? The Vikings have thrown only 78. They've not thrown more than 28 passes in a game. The Vikings. All right, Heath, who do you want to sell high on?
Well, I mean, to that note, Josh Allen's thrown 72.
Wow. So the Bills have thrown 73 passes. Wow.
So it's just it's a different league than we were expecting all the way around. I'm basically, to Jamey's point, only I will extend it to Alvin Kamara, and I will extend it still to Derrick Henry. I said I was buying low on Bijan Robinson. I would trade Kamara or Henry for Bijan today.
Yeah. Would you trade? Do you want them off your team just to begin with, or only?
No, I want to. No. I want to sell high on them.
Okay.
You got to take it. And I think with both of them, you're probably going to have some ebbs and flows where you have some high-end RB1 weeks. I think I saw this week. This was the first week that in terms of expected fantasy points, Derrick Henry was an RB1. And he's going to have some weeks where they have multi-score leads where that happens. And he's also going to have some weeks where Justice Hill plays more snaps. He might even have a week where he doesn't score a touchdown. Maybe not.
No,
but
come on.
I know, but no, I'd like to see if I could turn one of those guys into Bijan. I wonder, and these are we've had high end sell highs. I'd be okay if I could see somebody got pretty excited about what just happened with Chuba Hubbard, and I could find basically any starter. I like Chuba this week, but I think you've probably got it's like a 1 or 2 week rental with him, and same thing with Juwan Jennings, who was the greatest fantasy player ever last week. And you probably have to start him this week, but could disappear at any second.
See, I don't even know if this is realistic. Maybe I'm just crazy. But if you could trade Juwan Jennings for Brian Thomas, really, if you could trade Juwan Jennings for anyone that can help you long term, you'd do it. And if you're looking at a desperate 0-3 or even 1-2 manager right now that's thinking, oh, Jennings is going to go off this week.
I think you might be able to trade Juwan Jennings for T. Higgins in some leagues.
Yes.
If you can do it, don't quit the league ever.
Okay. All right, Dave, sell highs.
Few more sell highs. If we're going to mention Terry McLaurin as a sell high, do we talk about Jayden Daniels as a sell high? Particularly since when we drafted him, we drafted another quarterback with him. So he might not be your only QB.
But we drafted him with Jared Goff, and Jared Goff's terrible now.
If it's Goff, then yeah, you probably won't want to do it unless Unless you get a really good offer for a guy who's had 2 monster games in his first 3 weeks.
But why?
But it's still a rookie.
But he's doing exactly what we wanted him to do, and he finally just had his best game, a first good game as a passer. I think
did.
I just ride it out with him.
The only reason I would is
with that.
If you're scared of the injury. Like I'm still scared of the injury.
Well, you can be scared of the injury, and just to play devil's advocate, he is a rookie. He's going to make some mistakes. We've already seen one game where he doesn't have good production. There's going to be more of that. Yeah. Again, and this is with the case with almost all these sell highs. It's not us saying, get him off your team as fast as you can. Well, maybe with Jawan Jennings. Get him off your team as fast as you can. He's never going to be this good ever again. You've got to get something good in exchange for Jayden Daniels. You might be 1-2 or 0-3 with Jayden Daniels, and right now you can turn him into a starter at another position, maybe a really good one, and you stream quarterbacks after that. I don't hate the idea.
Okay, someone asked, who would you trade Terry McLaurin for? So I am going to go right now and offer Terry McLaurin for T. Higgins. This guy's not going to do it. He listens to the podcast, but I'm going to try. Maybe he'll accept before he listens to today's show.
What about DJ Moore?
Yeah, I would do that.
You could try and get DJ Moore for him.
Yeah, I'd rather have DJ Moore.
Me too. Pollard. Let's go back to Tony Pollard. I think I'd rather have Pollard than McLaurin.
Yep.
Okay. Trade offer submitted.
What should trade Terry McLaurin for Travis Kelce, Adam?
Well, we'll see if this one guy. I'd rather have Higgins. So we'll see if this.
Would you rather have McLaurin or Dobbins?
Dobbins.
I would rather have Dobbins as well.
The devil's advocate is that, like, we finally saw Jayden Daniels get going as a thrower, start throwing the ball downfield. If he is the downfield passer that he was at LSU, that's why I drafted Terry McLaurin, because I thought, oh, this is going to be a really good fit. We finally see the seeds planted, and then we're throwing away the tree or the plant.
Well, I mean, look, you're not giving him away. You're hoping T. Higgins becomes the player that he's been as well. So it's, in my opinion, that would be an upgrade. But you can also try and take one of these injured receivers and turn Terry McLaurin into one of those guys, which is, you're hoping that
Puka, you mean?
Puka comes back, Kupp comes back, and they're the players that they're capable of being. I'd rather have that than Terry McLaurin, but you have to maybe deal with a week or two of not having anybody as a starter or a key bench player.
Can I give you 3 more wide receivers and rank them against McLaurin for the rest of the year? Waddle, Diggs, Jayden Reed.
I mean, Waddle's such a wild card, so.
I had Diggs on my sell high list too. I don't think you can get Diggs for McLaurin.
I don't think you can either.
Diggs is a top 12 wide receiver right now.
I'm trying to validate having McLaurin where I have him on the trade chart. All 3 of those receivers are behind him right now.
Behind him?
Behind him.
I have no idea how to rank any of them.
I'd rather have Jayden Reed than Terry McLaurin.
Jayden Reed. Don't make that offer. I bet that gets accepted.
Yeah, Jayden Reed has some of the best per route data. He is just so good. And
he's also currently wide receiver 9. I don't know why somebody would give him to you for Terry McLaurin.
He's wide receiver 9 because he had a monster week 1. The last 2 games.
Jordan Love should be back any moment.
Well, I agree.
People know that he's wide
receiver. That's why he was on my buy low list.
But this is a serious question. Like, do you think the average fantasy manager knows that Jayden Reed is wide receiver 9?
No.
But I don't know that the perception of him is that. And I don't know. I mean, well, Jacob,
I hope you look before you trade him.
Yeah, I don't know that people do. But
well, I mean, the logic would say, well, he had 1 great game with his quarterback, and then he's had 2 stinker games without his quarterback.
What was that game? That was like I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like a 4-target game with a.
It was a little fluky. It seems like he's the only one that wore the right shoes. In Brazil.
That's right.
So there's some, unrealistic expectations, I think, but the idea would be is if you're selling him, you're trying to get something great. I mean, I traded Jayden Reed last night. It was an offer presented to me in a dynasty league, which I couldn't pass up on. It was Trey McBride and a 3rd round pick for Jayden Reed and a 4th round pick. So I got a higher draft pick and, in my opinion, a better player.
Sorry.
I think that's a great trade. I would just say that, like, Jayden Reed's stinker this week would be the 2nd best game of Terry McLaurin's season.
So who would you rather have?
Reed.
Okay. All right. We're gonna finish up our trade. I'll read some trade questions here from our chat, and that's how we'll finish this segment. Would you trade Josh Jacobs for Josh Allen?
Yes.
Do we think on that note, though, that Josh Jacobs is a good buy low because he's getting a lot of work. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, and Jordan Love is on its way back. Hopefully, maybe if not this week, next week.
Jacobs is 1 point ahead of Allen on the trade chart right now.
I would take Allen. I mean, it's just like I see these fantasy matchups where I'm looking and it's like, oh, this guy versus this guy. The only thing that mattered was that my quarterback scored 25 more, scored 20 more points than your quarterback, or vice versa. It's like Josh Allen is just too good. Chubb or Ayuk? Chubb for Ayuk.
I'd rather have Ayuk.
Much rather have Ayuk.
Would you trade Mooney and Mostert for Chuba Hubbard?
I think to Heath's point, if you need to win this week, then you're absolutely making this trade.
Yep.
Mostert might be on the waiver wire in a couple of weeks.
Do I trade Travis Etienne, Christian Watson, and Javonte Williams? Travis Etienne, Christian Watson, and Javonte for Diggs and Singletary.
I think it's too much for Diggs and Singletary.
I would not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never like giving up the best player in a deal.
Javonte's getting cut in a lot of leagues. Watson's getting cut in a lot of leagues.
I couldn't believe it. He was cut in my keeper league.
I like this one. Rashid Shaheed for Jayden Reed.
Indeed.
That's a great trade if you can somehow get it done.
You'd rather have Reed?
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me give one more here. Who would you trade Christian McCaffrey for?
To give him up or acquire him?
It seems like giving McCaffrey up.
You're trading Christian McCaffrey. What would you hope to get for him? Would you take Mike Evans for him? Would you take Tyreek Hill for him?
I mean, that's
I know.
one Band-Aid for another.
Yeah, but these are the types of trades that tend to go through. I think I'd rather have Tyreek.
You know what just came to my mind is I don't think I would do it. I think I'd keep McCaffrey, but I think I would trade McCaffrey for Chris Godwin. Do I like Chris Godwin better than Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans?
They're very close on the trade chart.
I mean, obviously, if Tua's back, Tua could be back in 3 weeks. And Tyreek Hill they would buy.
Yeah, they have a buy in week 6.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill could be the best player, but what if Tua doesn't come back for like 7 weeks?
I mean, if that's your logic, they both could be at their optimal levels at the same time. And who's better?
I know, but doesn't it just seem like things are getting? I don't know. I don't like him having to go to Germany to see a specialist
unless it works out.
It could work out.
Yeah. What happened to Cooper Kupp last year? Remember when Kupp had to go to Minnesota for a specialist to see a specialist?
That's basically Germany.
Minnesota.
Okay, Germany's a little farther away, but the point
Kyle
is,
Shanahan said it's a playoff game he could play today.
Did he say that?
I think he hurt himself again before week 1, like the practice before week 1. I think he hurt himself. I think they had every intention of playing him until he got hurt.
We're not doctors, so
we're not, or members of the Niners.
All right, we got to take a break. It's been a weird show. We haven't gotten to, we haven't gotten to what I wanted, but that's okay. This has been fun. Good trade discussion. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll play a couple games, I think, and then we will preview Cowboys-Giants. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Yesterday, I called the game, Who Has More? Dave said, no, you dope. It should be Who's Got More? So who's got more receiving yards? Travis Kelce or Brenton Strange?
Kelce.
Who's Strange?
I think I want to say Strange.
Boom, boom, boom.
So in who's got more?
When you're a strange.
It's basically who has got more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is Brenton Strange. 77 to 69. He has more receiving yards than Travis Kelce.
This is a messed up fantasy year, man.
Who has more passing plus rushing yards? Josh Allen or Bo Nix?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
I can't believe it. But I'm going to say Josh Allen.
It is Josh Allen.
Yeah, hell yeah.
By 12. Bo Nix actually has a lot of rushing plus receiving yards. He just hasn't thrown a touchdown yet.
Well, when I looked after week 2, like Josh Allen just doesn't have very many passing.
How many receiving yards do they have?
You did say rushing plus receiving.
I said receiving?
Yeah.
I took it as passing.
Oh, God.
I when you first said it, I took it as passing, but then you said it again.
Well,
like Allen's not top 12 in rushing plus passing yards.
Is he not?
No.
Yeah. Well, Nick's has the third most pass attempts or fourth most pass attempts in the NFL. So he's actually giving us like some. Plus, I think he has over 100 rushing yards, right, Bo Nix? He's giving us some production, but no touchdowns. Who has more total yards, Alvin Kamara or Saquon Barkley?
Is that passing yards too?
Have they thrown any passes?
Kick return yards.
Just rushing and receiving. Kamara.
I'll say Barkley.
Kamara.
I'll say Alvin.
It is Alvin. It is Kamara, 417 to 404. And who has more carries inside the 5-yard line? Brian Robinson Jr. or Jayden Daniels?
The opponent's 5-yard line or their 5-yard line?
The opponent near the goal line.
Which goal line?
The one they're trying to score in. Brian Robinson Jr. or Jayden Daniels?
Robinson.
I'll say Robinson.
You're all wrong. It's a tie. They each have 4. Trick question. Yeah.
Hey, Adam, what's the score?
Oh, I have no idea. Who won?
I don't know.
I mean, the bottom line is I lost. Here's some stats for you. Here are players with 3 or more targets inside the 10-yard line who also have at least 50% of their team's targets from that distance. So, like, there are some players that have, like, 1 target inside the 5, and that's the only, inside the 10, it's like the only one or one of 2 targets in that distance. But players with 3 or more targets inside the 10-yard line who also have at least 50% of their team's targets from that distance. Deontay Johnson with 5 targets inside the 10, 71.4% of his teams. Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, Devon Achane, and Devontae Adams. These are the guys who thus far have been targeted the most kind of overall and as a percentage of their team's targets inside the 10. Deontay, Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, Devon Achane, and Devontae Adams.
If we knew that Andy Dalton was starting from week 1, where would we have drafted Deontay Johnson?
Would we have really ranked him a lot higher than where we were drafting him?
No, but I would say easily probably a round and a half, if not 2 rounds.
Is he a sell high candidate?
For Higgins, I would do it for Higgins. Would you?
I don't think I would do it for Higgins.
I don't think I would either.
I think you could definitely turn him into one of the injured receivers with the hope that those guys come back and obliterate him.
I might not even do that. I'd want something with one of those injured receivers.
Well, I mean, I'm not just thinking about the guys that are on IR. I mean, like Debo could be back in a week. AJ Brown could be back in a week.
Okay. Oh my God! If I could turn him into AJ Brown.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people that are 0-3
the guy I'm trading with.
Well, AJ Brown has a bye next week, right? So that is a 2-week.
I do not care. I will still.
No, I know, but it's an easier sell to make. Say, hey, you're not going to have AJ Brown this week. You're right. Well, he might. I mean, I can't rule him out. And you're not going to have him next week. So take Deontay Johnson and get a couple of better chances to win. Okay, what was my next stat here? Next stat is DK Metcalf does not have an end zone target yet. And I did want to bring that up because I kind of made a case for Metcalf as a sell high, like a sell super high.
Yep.
Someone asked if he was a top 5 wide receiver. I was like, I don't really think so. He's gotten a big chunk of his production on those 2 deep balls. His targets are not what we would want. But at the same time, Geno Smith is playing pretty well, but he's only averaging 1 touchdown pass per game. He hasn't started throwing to Metcalf in the end zone yet. So I just want to bring that up.
You could double check me on this, but I was just looking at True Media, and I think I have all the filters correct. I believe Seattle has 1 end zone target this season.
It's possible. I mean, Dallas has 0. There are 6 or 7 teams that have 0 or 1.
Yeah. So DK not having any doesn't have quite as much weight when the team has 1.
No, okay, but I think the other point is that they haven't thrown a lot of touchdowns. I think they've only thrown 3, right?
Yeah.
So while DK Metcalf could see some regression in the yards, he also could start seeing some positive touchdown. Well, no, because he's caught touchdowns.
Would you turn him into AJ Brown?
Touchdowns. Yeah.
Adam, would you turn him into AJ Brown?
Oh yeah,
I would too.
I would need to be above 500.
Jalen Hurts has thrown 8 passes inside the 10-yard line. Last year, he threw 19. I like
Cool.
that.
Kellen Moore.
He's not throwing inside the 5, but he's throwing inside the 10. And
one of those bounced off of Saquon Barkley's hands.
Was it inside the 10?
Pretty sure.
Here are your yards per route run leaders among wide receivers with 50 or more routes run. Rashee Rice, Justin Jefferson, Jawan Jennings, of course, Jayden Reed, Alec Pierce, Nico Collins, Chris Godwin, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, 2 Saints, and Khalil Shakir. So it's Rice, Jefferson, Jawan Jennings, Jayden Reed, Pierce, Nico, Godwin, Rashid Shaheed, Olave, Khalil Shakir. Those are the leaders in yards per route run with a minimum of 50 routes run.
I take that more as just an observation, like a snapshot in time. I'm not sure it tells us a whole lot about what's going to happen going forward.
There's one player that would be number 1, but he has only run 38 routes, I believe, and that is Tutu Atwell. So if you need a third wide receiver or something, if you're desperate, there's some
for you.
Tutu for you, yes. All right, Dave, you ready for Thursday Night Football?
Nah.
Dallas is at the Giants. The history in this game is staggering. The Cowboys have won 6 in a row and 13 of the last 14 meetings. The one win for the Giants in those 14 meetings was against Andy Dalton. Dak Prescott did not even play in that game. The Giants have not scored more than 20 points in any of their 6 consecutive losses to the Cowboys. Last year, the combined score of the 2 games was 89-17 Dallas. I just read this morning that in the last 4 games in this series, the New York Giants do not have a sack against the Cowboys. It is as one-sided as it gets. Does any of that history matter to you? One thing I'll say is 2 years ago when the Giants were actually good, they lost both games by only 15 points combined instead of by like 85 or whatever. But does this matter to you? Is this like, oh God, the Giants are going to be horrible this week?
I don't think they'll be horrible. I mean, the sack stat is interesting because the Dallas offensive line is not the same, and the Giants defensive line is much improved. So,
Agreed.
Hopefully Dexter Lawrence plays from the Giants' perspective. He's on the injury report. Sounds like he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think he's playing.
I mean, it's helped them certainly in the last 2 games, how they've performed defensively. And then this Dallas offensive line is just, nowhere close to where it's been in the last couple of years. So there should be an opportunity there for them to get to Dak, and we'll see. Did Dak find his magic, potion after trailing last week against the Ravens and just things clicked? Did the Ravens take their foot off the gas and, allow them back in the game? So we know when the Cowboys get hot and when Dak gets hot, he has the ability to be elite. We saw it last year. Maybe this is coming, especially with CeeDee Lamb getting the squeaky wheel treatment this week.
Who are the must starts in this game?
Lamb and Dak, Nabers, Ferguson.
If you drafted Dak and Jayden Daniels, are you starting Dak?
I might not start Dak.
I think you can make a case for Singletary to be a must-start guy. I mean, the Cowboys' run defense has been brutal.
It's been bad. True. He's more of like I don't think he's a must-start.
I would agree.
I think he's like a low-end number 2 RB.
If you're looking at it like who's Dak, the 2 receivers, who's the 5th guy? I think he's probably the safest 5th guy.
Do we count the Cowboys DST as the 5th guy?
Are they a must-start?
They are not, but low-end material.
Oh, I would say they're must-start.
Yeah, I would say they're must-start.
Yeah. They should be able to get some pressure. I mean, Giants' offensive line is definitely better, but
it's not great. It's just not. They were getting pummeled pretty bad last week, and Daniel Jones, to his credit, managed around it pretty well. So that's an encouraging sign for Giants fans. It's not going to be encouraging for fantasy managers, other than what that'll mean for Nabers, and then to a lesser degree for Singletary and for Wan'Dale Robinson.
Now we may not know, but we may have an indication. We'll have 2 practices at that point. But if Dameon Pierce and Joe Mixon are not practicing by Thursday, would you start Singletary or Cam Akers against Jacksonville?
Singletary.
Same.
Singletary.
Would you start Singletary or Chuba Hubbard against Cincinnati?
Chuba's.
Zach Moss.
Chuba's the start of the week.
I was just I almost speculated that Chewy might be the start of the week, but I'm glad you said it.
I'm glad you're going with Chewy as start of the week.
Zach Moss or Devin Singletary?
Moss.
Singletary.
I'll take Moss.
How about Garrett Wilson against the Broncos or Devin Singletary?
That's closer than you might think. Is it non-PPR or half PPR?
I'll take Singletary no matter what.
I might take
Wilson in full.
Okay.
I mean, we have enough of what Surtain has done. Like
Juwan Jennings against the Patriots or Devin Singletary?
Singletary.
Yeah, I think I'd lean Devin.
All right. Dak Prescott is a start, but over who? Anthony Richardson or Dak Prescott?
Dak.
Okay. So with Dak,
I'm almost incredulous over that start Anthony Richardson. Who could do such a thing?
Are there any waiver wire players, not just from this week, but so Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, any of them that you'd start over Dak Prescott?
No.
Nope.
Do you have any interest in Daniel Jones this week, coming off 2 straight good games?
Super flex 2 QB.
Great second quarterback.
And then I gotta say, I watched some Jalen Tolbert.
You liked him, didn't you?
I did. He's got speed.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: pretty much everything's downfield for him. So you don't get a lot of designed, receiver screens or anything easy for him. But here's your stat of the. I put stat of the game. What did I put for this? Stat of the game that you probably won't care about. So why am I bothering? Because I care about you. The Giants are allowing the 3rd most completions of 20+ yards and the 5th most completions of 20+ air yards. They also have 2, if not 3, injuries to cornerbacks.
True.
That most of them I think are slot cornerbacks, but it's going to hurt them. They're going to have to move an outside guy inside. So I don't think anyone's going to start Tolbert, but there's a chance.
Stash Tolbert.
I am going to try to pick him up and stash him away.
You're going to have a hard time doing that because I've already got him in a bunch of our leagues. My favorite part about Tolbert
You're only in like 3 leagues with Adam, though.
I know, but I think I've got him in those leagues. Tolbert does a good job of adjusting to off-target throws. You saw that 2 weeks ago. And I think that's obviously a crucial thing. Some receivers aren't good at that. He seems to be. So on top of being good, and on top of him having good speed and versatile enough routes, he can make some contested catches, some tough catches, can, bend his body a little bit to bring in the ball. He's going to be a good bye week receiver.
Who's a better play this week? Tolbert or I guess I'll throw Cooks in there, or Wan'Dale Robinson?
Wan'Dale.
I'll take the safer play with Wan'Dale.
Yeah, Wan'Dale.
If I thought the Giants could really give Dallas a game and it could be high scoring, then I would start Tolbert. I would take that chance. But
Cooks is a safer play than Tolbert.
I don't know if I agree with that anymore.
Oh, he doesn't have as much upside, but he's a safer play.
All right.
I would take Tolbert over Cooks.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but the safer play is Cooks.
How many tight ends would you start over Jake Ferguson?
Oh, man, I don't know if I'd start any.
Is A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith coming back?
I'm going to assume no.
Dallas Goedert.
I'm going to assume at least one of them's out.
Yeah, Goddard easily. I would probably still start Bowers over him, too.
I have Ferguson number 1.
You probably won't know McBride versus Ferguson if you have both of them, which I do in a league. How about
just start Ferguson?
Yeah, I'll start Ferguson. And Dallas
Dallas
DST is good, but Dave has them, I think, 12th.
I do.
Jamey and Heath are much higher on them. Here are some emails that are relevant to the game. This one is from Matthew. Start 1 in PPR for a flex. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, George Pickens, or Roma Dunze?
Moss.
Moss at Carolina. Pickens has the Colts.
Singletary.
It's either Pickens or Moss for me.
Okay. From Drew, Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott?
Dak. We're making the assumption that Hurts is going to be without Brown and Smith.
Yeah, we should have some movement from Smith in the protocol by Thursday if he's going to play. If there's none, then I would say Dak.
Yeah, I actually responded to that email, so that's probably the way to go. I'm leaning Dak unless we're getting good news on either Smith or Brown. Okay, and that is Thursday Night Football.
No.
Nothing about the Cowboys backfield. Wow.
Oh my God! What is with me? What is with me?
It's okay. I don't think anybody feels good about starting either of those guys anyway. They're one of 3 teams in the league that don't have more than 70 rush yards from their running backs in a game this year.
Rico Dowdle or DeAndre Swift in full PPR.
Oh, wow.
Dowdle.
Maybe this is a decision that people have to make. Yeah, maybe Dowdle.
I'm going Dowdle too.
If they're smart, this is the game to unleash Dowdle to see what he has. I mean, Zeke has just been awful.
He's not even the third down back. They used their fullback at the third down role last week, Hunter Lipke.
So here's the question. What happens when they're at the goal line?
Zeke.
Ew. And then we already know that it's their fullback is the third down guy. So Dowdle's going to need like 16 carries, and you hope that he averages something nice and gets close to 75, 80 total yards, couple of catches.
All right, let's do the song again.
Nah.
Nah. All right, what's next here? Rank them rest of season. Anthony Richardson, Jayden Daniels, Dak Prescott.
Daniels, Dak, Richardson.
Daniels, Dak, Richardson.
I've got Daniels, Prescott, and Anthony.
Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs, Alvin Kamara, James Cook.
Kamara, Cook, Gibbs.
Gibbs, Cook, Kamara.
Ooh.
That's exact. That's where I am.
What was it? Gibbs, Cook, Kamara?
I kind of want to put Cook first, but
it's nice to see Cook getting those snaps near the goal line.
Really is.
Man, can you imagine if he caught that pass?
Yeah. David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard.
I think you just ranked him.
Pollard, Montgomery, Jones.
Montgomery, Pollard, Jones.
Wow. Pollard over Jones. What's the justification for that?
He's old.
So, okay, here's the thing. Young guys get hurt too.
They do.
You know, it's like you could just say, oh, we're going to trade any running back who's doing well right now because they're going to get hurt.
I'm just saying if you're avoiding people because, and Jamey will agree with this, I think if you're avoiding people because of age, you don't change your mind because they made it through September.
Yeah.
Like they should be fresh this time of year.
He's playing so well. He's been so much better than Tony Pollard. That's the thing. If it were close right now, then I could play that card. But
I mean, a week ago, you wouldn't be able to say that.
No, I mean, a week ago,
much better week 3.
I pointed out that when Tajay Spears was healthy in week 2, they split snaps almost evenly, and I think Spears had more touches. Now, it's still a shared backfield. I think maybe a little inflated by week 2 when Spears got hurt. I don't know.
I mean, we could go the other way too. When week 2, when Jones got hurt and Chandler played more.
Yeah, but Jones still was better. I mean, Jones got 5 catches in 2 straight games, and Pollard the third down back.
But after 2 games, it was close.
I agree. I think the third game swayed it back into Jones' favor, though. I think the point is that all 3 of these guys are going to be really close, and they'll probably take turns leapfrogging each other throughout the course of the season.
All right, DK Metcalf, Chris
Olave.
Olave.
They can actually leapfrog.
DK Metcalf, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison.
Harrison, Metcalf, Olave.
Olave's third. I'll go Harrison, Metcalf, Olave.
Harrison, Olave, Metcalf.
Oh, Jamey, just give us consensus. Come on, man.
He did. He said that Harrison was first.
He did, but he didn't say the other 2. Last one.
Conform to your ideals. Not have an opinion.
Travis Kelce, Johnny Munt, or Eric All.
Kelce.
Eric.
Oh.
And then who?
Johnny Munt. You don't have to really rank them. It was
All has looked really good the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Eric.
It sure has. All right, time for some emails. fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. That is the letter I. Schaefer's been very active in the chat today. Earlier, he was bragging about the Vikings.
I think it's because he was giving you questions in the private chat from the chat that he wanted you to answer, and you wouldn't, so he just started answering them himself.
I don't think that's true. I think I answered. Oh, no, I didn't. Aaron Jones, would you trade Aaron Jones and Garrett Wilson for CeeDee Lamb? Wow.
If you need the help in your lineup, then yeah, that's an expensive combo to give for CeeDee Lamb.
Would you have traded your 12th overall pick and a 5th to move up to number 2 in the draft?
Yep.
I mean, I'd be, yeah.
Does that matter though? If you don't think
it doesn't matter now. That was
think that Aaron Jones is value anymore.
So Aaron Jones is worth a 4th now. Like Garrett Wilson hasn't improved his value.
Well, let's say Aaron Jones is at the 3-4 turn and Garrett Wilson's at the 1-2 turn. Would you trade?
I don't think Garrett Wilson's at probably the 1-2 turn anymore.
I don't think he is either.
I mean, I think you could make the case that he's one of the best.
I would do it.
You would do that? All right.
I would too.
All right. Okay, here's a question from Austin. Wants to know about Josh Jacobs. He's disappointed at him. They haven't featured him in 2 of 3 weeks. What do you guys think about Josh Jacobs?
I mean, let's hope Jordan Love comes back and things just continue to improve for this offense. I mean, they've been happy with how things have gone. And I think from the perspective of the Jacobs fantasy manager, it hasn't been ideal, but it's not like he's been ruining your fantasy team.
What I'd be nervous about is that Emmanuel Wilson starts to take a little bit more work away from Jacobs because he's looked good.
So for me, the way I come out on that is like I expected that to be Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jacobs had 18 touches in week 1. He has been featured in 2 of 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this honestly was one of those where like I wasn't the least bit surprised he had a bad game. With Malik Willis, he just doesn't catch passes. He'll do more of that with Love. Not a ton, but he'll do more of it. And the Titans were by far the best run defense he had faced. So it just didn't surprise me that he had a bad game.
And I don't think the Titans respected the pass game that much. Not sure the Colts did either. Now they got bludgeoned, but I think when Love's back, defenses will be a lot more wary of the Packers passing game.
All right, from 12-team half PPR, would you trade Drake London for CJ Stroud and Zay Flowers? Hell yeah.
You have to if you need a quarterback.
Agreed.
Well, he has Richardson. So I don't know if that makes sense for him, but I would do that.
There's no one on the waiver wire that you can just stream in place of Richardson until you feel comfortable starting Richardson. You have to give up a piece like London.
You said full PPR?
Yeah, half.
Half. I don't like it. Like a full PPR, I think London and Flowers could be pretty close.
Right, but you're getting Stroud. I think maybe if you feel like you can make another trade involving one of your quarterbacks, and you know,
is Stroud a buy low?
Yes,
he's been basically the same as Richardson.
Yes.
All right, this is from 1 and 2 Scott. Would you start JSN against the Lions or Tyreek Hill against the Titans?
I'm taking Tyreek.
That's pretty much my reaction. I was like, oh.
When you have to think about it, that tells you where he's at right now.
It's Tyreek, but I hate it.
Someone in our chat wants to know, should I trade DK Metcalf for James Cook?
Yes.
If you can, yes.
I like it.
Buy that guy lunch.
Okay.
After he accepts the trade and you get Cook.
One more. I'm so hungry now, Dave. One more.
Lunch.
What'd you say?
Who are you, me?
I haven't eaten yet. From Connor. I drafted Lamb, Hill, and Chase in an auction. And I have Shakir and Jawan Jennings. I need to start 4 of them. So Lamb, Hill, Chase, Shakir, Jawan Jennings. Who gets benched?
Jennings and Shakir.
No, he only has to sit one of them.
Oh, sit Shakir.
Yeah, assuming that Debo's out, Kittle's out.
Hips don't lie. Sit Shakir at Baltimore. Forward to that game. All right. Thanks, everybody. You're right there, Eisenberg.
Oh yeah, just enjoying your jokes.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we're out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow with Starter Sit for the AFC home games. See you later.